Mr. Primetime, football is back.
Cheers to football.
Yeah, dude, every time I see you, I got one in my hand too.
Seriously.
These videos are becoming a problem for me, I think.
I told you, man, not until all this stuff happened did I become an alcoholic. So at least we got some football to watch while we're drinking now.
Yeah, so a lot of things, a lot of housekeeping stuff. First of all, if you're watching this video, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. At Talk Jets Radio, Instagram and Twitter. Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube, obviously. We're on Spreaker, SoundCloud, Blog Talk. 1 hour after the game on Sunday, we'll be doing a live stream, which will give out information on that, which I guarantee will be must-watch. I mean, you may not like some of our videos. I guarantee you a live stream will be a must-watch for us. I promise you that. I want to thank the Crowd Assist podcast. I was actually on a Bills podcast last night, primetime, for about an hour talking Jets-Bills, and I had to defend the team, which was kind of crazy, and defend Sam Darnold and talk about Josh Allen. So we want to thank them. They were super cool, a lot of fun to talk about. And I want to say Skip Bayless should be fired. Now, this month, this is not football related, so just bear with me for 5 seconds. This month is Suicide Prevention Month. Mental health issues are so prominent in this country. Dak Prescott today openly talked about depression, battling with it, his brother dealing with suicide, all these different things. And Skip Bayless, this pompous jackass buffoon, discounts him. And he gives a caveat first, like, well, this take is not going to be popular, but what? Don't share it. Like, to mock somebody or put somebody down because of depression in that arrogant manner, like it's okay to talk like that, is ignorant, and he's part of the problem. Like mental health issues, the shit he did today is part of the problem. And it's inexcusable, dude. Like he should have apologized 3 hours ago. He should be suspended for it. It's not acceptable. Like mental health problems are serious, dude. Suicide is serious. And this jackass is like, oh, you know what? He's a football player. No, dude. You're part of the problem. This shit's not right, dude. It's not. And it's not cool, and something should happen. Like, he should get suspended or something. Like, there should be some backlash for this. Because it's a prominent issue in this country, in the world.
Yeah, there are plenty of analysts that have been suspended, I think, for a lot less. So, unfortunately, there is that stigma that we always talk about that gets associated with mental health. And I think it shows so much more strength and leadership on the part of Dak Prescott to actually come out and acknowledge some of these things. Because you and I both know it's not easy talking about this shit.
Nope.
Like we've gone through plenty of it. We know people who have been affected by it. It is not an easy conversation to have, but that's the idea. You have to have the conversations about it. And the fact that he would actually attack Dak Prescott's leadership for coming out with that. Yeah.
The problem right now is everybody wants to get out their hot fucking take. Oh, I'm gonna be controversial. You know what? This shit's not cool because the suicide rate in this country is skyrocketing. Depression is prominent. All these things are prominent. And things like this, for somebody to feel comfortable even saying that, like, oh, you know what? No. That's part of the problem, dude. And I can't take it. Like, I'm tired of watching.
Especially now with everything that's going on. Like, we joke about, drinking during all these videos, but there are people that are legitimately home that can't go to work, that are struggling financially, that are drinking, drugs, whatever, that are struggling with a lot of shit right now. And that is just the worst possible time to try and make a statement like that for Skip. So
it doesn't matter if you're a football player, basketball player, you're a janitor, you work, whatever you do, dude. Everybody has problems. And for them to have the strength and courage to talk about it could probably help so many people. And for an analyst to just, oh, dude, I was like, you know what? I'm on a rampage. Like, and listen, I'm a mental health advocate. I'm not shy about it. You are too. And for me, it's not acceptable. Like all the other things, like everybody has a right to speak their mind. I'm speaking mine. If you guys don't agree with it, just whatever.
What you're doing is exactly what should be done, because before I started doing Let's Talk Jets and talking to you, I never once acknowledged anything regarding mental health to anybody because, like we talked about, it's not an easy conversation to have. It's uncomfortable. You don't want people, you don't want the impression of, being sorry for yourself or anything like that. So, you stay silent and you keep things inside, and it kind of builds up and becomes worse and worse and worse. And eventually you have to reach out to somebody and talk to somebody. Otherwise, you're just going to screw yourself. So,
or some people don't take that step. Some people
exactly.
Take that step and they end their lives. And then what? Like I've had friends very close to me that have done that. That's why it's so near dear to me. And, we dealt with it. And just to see that today, I'm glad the Cowboys are rallying around him and other people are too. And, we can go to football now, but that shit just pissed me off, dude. Like, that's not cool. And it's not the way, like I'm tired of people in the media offering up bullshit to get clicks and likes and retweets and all this stuff. Be yourself, man. And be honest and try to, like, you know what? Do your job. And try to do some positive in the world, too. Don't just be the asshole all the time. So, on a lighter note now, it pissed me off. I'm sorry, man. I couldn't hold it.
I was going to say, and that's another reason why we do this. Aside from just talking football, it's an escape for a lot of people, just being able to, have conversations and, interact with us talking football. So, whether you want to talk football or even, like, real-life shit, hit us up in the DMs, and we're always here to talk.
Always, man. So Jets Bills, obviously we're excited about that. They're in Buffalo, no fans. And once again, we're going back to this injury report. So we're going to talk about some matchups too. Some matchups that I'm really intrigued by, some things I'm happy about, not happy about. But this injury report, dude, and now it's like when they signed Alec Ogletree to the practice squad, I'm like, well, that's interesting. Another middle linebacker. I'm like, why is that? Lo and behold, Avery Williamson, hamstring issue. Not good, dude. And now he's already coming off an injury, hamstring issue, which we talked about endlessly this whole entire offseason. They linger. And a position like that where you gotta take off, like you gotta burst, you gotta go sideline to sideline, hit the hole, hit the gap, all this stuff.
Well,
that's not an encouraging start for him.
Not to make this, and I told you so, because I'm not about that.
You told me so.
Kind of. But with Avery Williamson, you're talking about a guy coming off the ACL injury who's not part of the Jets' future at 30 years old or whatever he is, and you're bringing back the middle linebackers that were part of your number one ranked rushing defense. And I don't think Williamson offers that much more than, say, a Blake Cashman in pass coverage. So what exactly are we paying him $3.5 million for? For leadership, I guess, maybe? Okay. But I just think that there are so many better ways that we could have spent that money. Getting another receiver in here, helping Sam, and we still have plenty of cash that we can spend. So again, the idea that
$3 isn't a lot, but I'd be curious if Owasu, or whatever his name is, the guy they call Peanut, if he wasn't hurt, I wonder what would happen if they would have gotten rid of him then, because they're pretty high on him.
Yes.
So I wonder, and then they cut James Burgess. I'm like, all right, well, if Burgess is healthy, why not bring him back instead of bringing Ogletree back, who was kind of underachieved for the Giants? But all right, it's just not it's interesting development. Then you go, the much more bigger one for me is this Marcus May thing. And it's like, we just got done praising him for his excellent camp, put him in the Jamal Adams role, do all these things, playmaker. On our show on Tuesday, people are saying potential Pro Bowl season, all this praise, all this hype, all this stuff. And now not only is he a calf, it's an ankle. Well, and they're like, oh, this is – because the biggest fear – dude, I'm on a roll tonight, dude. You can tell I'm amped up.
I'm letting you go.
The biggest fear is this. If he can't go, you're starting two new safeties, McDougald and Davis.
Well, essentially, you're still starting two new safeties. If you're putting Marcus May in the Jamal Adams role, he's learning a completely different role.
But he learned it last year, too. He learned the role last year, too. But
it's one thing to learn it and to actually physically get beaten up, being
inside
the box. Yes, I guess. But again, we haven't seen that his body can withstand, a full 16 games of doing what Jamal Adams does. So that's the issue there. You would hope, again, in a contract year, you would think he'd be all out and, trying to earn that money. But, week one, you're not gonna push it with a lot of these guys, unfortunately. So
this is a problem. And I'm not pressing a panic button. I'm just calling like it is. If he doesn't play on Sunday, this is a major problem because he is a vital piece to this defense with Jamal Adams gone. He is your Swiss Army knife guy. It's running around doing all these things. Now you're taking away that weapon. If you want to go three safeties, which we talked about endlessly, which I thought they would do, who's your third safety?
Tyus Farley. Special teams captain. Come on.
So then it's like, you know what? Now you wish you could have had Logan Ryan here because then it would have made a little more sense. But now it's like now you're with a Marcus May banged up. And the thing you wondered about, too, is that they're not going to play 80 snaps apiece because they're not in game shape yet. I mean, you're going to be pounding, hitting pads, all this. It's going to be different. Going from this modified training camp to the regular season is going to be so much different. The speed of the game, the impact, the hits. Yep. So they're not going to play all the snaps anyway. Now you take him out of the equation or banged up or a 75% version. That's a big blow, dude. There is no sugarcoating that. When you have two new safeties, new corners.
That's why I wanted him to continue in his role. Not saying that his injury was caused, by, adapting a new role, but he was very good as your high free safety, the deep safety that can kind of, cover range and everything. And, I would have liked to have seen him stay in that role and then incorporate Davis and McDougald for Jamal Adams. So
not a good start there. And then the other one, and this is just like Denzel Mims now. Yep. Not only is it one hamstring, it's hamstrings. Now, the Jets could be playing some games with the injury report where he's limited in practice. It could be kind of manipulating things a little bit, but he already had one. This is another one. He's already missed most of training camp. I mean, at this point, how many reps do you, if he's truly injured, then hold him out because a hamstring you can't fuck around with because you're going to make it worse. Like the way you fix a hamstring is you don't play. You sit out and you're fully recovered.
Wasn't he listed as a full participant yesterday?
Yeah, what the hell happened?
Exactly. So
today he's limited with two hamstrings.
I take blame because I did the video last night, praising the positive injury report. Yeah, it's all my fault. And the thing that worries me the most about this is whether he plays or not, or even if he's limited, that Tre'Davious White, he's going to lock down Rashad Perriman.
Yep.
So you're left trying to make something work with Crowder and Herndon as your really only two legitimate options.
Yep.
So good luck.
Yeah, so the injury report is not ideal. Some bad news today. Hopefully something changes by Sunday, which we probably won't know, but not encouraging. So we're going to talk about some matchups now. You know, like I said, I talked to the Bills guys last night, and they were super, super informative. They gave me all kinds of insight that, you know, like we don't know because we don't follow the Bills as closely. We know like what we see, like the snapshots and the reports and stuff like that. And the one interesting thing that we kept talking about was, you know, Becton's first game as a rookie is going to be an experience for him. He's going to be swimming because he's going to see things he's never seen before. How does Adam Gase adjust? I mean, you know, Hughes is going to drive him crazy. Yep. But the other thing we've never really talked about, and I thought about this today, actually, was McGovern. And this is his first game with Sam actually, you know, doing snaps. You know, snaps, could be shotgun, and then he's going to have, like, Ed Oliver in front of him, all these guys in front of him. How did the line calls, the communication, all this stuff, like pointing things out, their communication under duress. That's a pretty big deal, dude. And that's kind of, you know, this is Sam, another center for Sam, but that's something we really haven't talked about where it's going to be a work in progress, which could be some learning curves there too.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked all offseason about the chemistry with the Jets offense, but on the other side of it, the Bills offense and defense is returning a lot of chemistry and a lot of starters. So I think that's the biggest thing that worries you. It's not like they're learning a new program and, you know, trying to incorporate new players. They're building off of the success that they had last year. And that's what I think worries a lot of people heading into week one, where you didn't have a preseason or any opportunities to really get these guys truly in sync. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, if you look at the offensive line as a whole, you want to see them all, you know, stout and run blocking and do all these things. But I think the two primary ones I'm most focused on are left tackle and center. Those are the two cogs that you need to have fully functioning and capable to, you know, slow down the blitz and stop that penetration up the middle. So that's big, dude. It really is. Like, and then George Fant, we really haven't talked about, and that's the, you know.
Well, just really quick on Becton. I mean, you would hope that at this point, after 4 weeks of camp, you know, he's been there every single day. He hasn't missed any reps or anything. You would hope that you've seen enough to know heading into week one, okay, I need to give this guy a little bit of help, or he'll be able to handle his own against, you know, a Jerry Hughes or Trent Murphy or whoever. So, you know, at this point, you should kind of know what you have a little bit heading into week one, even though they haven't really been tested. And if he needs help, there's no reason why, you know, in a Doga or an extra tight end like Daniel Brown or somebody can't, you know, be right next to him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping, that Adam Gase has a backup plan. Like, you have to have the oh shit plan. Like, this should work, but oh shit, it's not. Now I'm going to do this. And it can't take 3 quarters to figure it out. You got to make real-time adjustments, because if your left tackle is struggling or just can't handle the speed of Hughes or whatever else, you can't let Sam take a beating for 2.5 quarters. But, oh, you know what? Let me try this now. No, you make real-time adjustments. Okay, you know what? We got to go 2 backs in the backfield, put Frank Gore behind, like whatever it is. Do something to get, like you said, Daniel Brown, Wesco, whoever you want back there to give him help. And it's got to be real-time. Yep. You know, and then, you know, McGovern's obviously a veteran guy. He's fine. And then, you know, Fant, we haven't talked about at all. Like, I mean, we're not sure if that's good or bad. He's a captain. The players voted for him. Good for him.
Yep.
But it's like, you know, what's the backup plan there? Is it a Doga? And that's not ideal because he's not.
Has to be.
Yeah. So it's like, to me, the matchups on the offensive line are fascinating because Buffalo is physical and they're fast and they're going to get after it. Like you said, Hughes, Oliver, they got 4 or 5 deep in pass rushers.
Yep.
You know, so that's definitely a challenge. And then if you go from that, it's okay. Well, how do you offset it? Which we talked about over and over. Get Crowder involved, get Herndon involved. And you look at some of the matchups there. Buffalo has 2 excellent safeties, dude. They're tremendous safeties. Then they have an elite corner. So you look at that. Okay, so now you have 3 guys, or say two elite cover guys. They're going to probably do what? They're going to probably go for Perryman, take him out of the game, and probably go after Herndon. Yep. So you may have to dink and dunk with Crowder and Bell or something like that to try to offset this, because I don't know if we have enough talent to actually, you know what I mean? Like, who's going to get double teamed? They're not going to double team nobody. They're not scared of anybody, right?
Crowder, maybe. I mean, that's the only guy I think that you're really worried about, because Tre'Davious White,
maybe.
I mean, Tre'Davious White, he can lock down Perriman one-on-one, I think, without any issue at all. He's a first-time All-Pro. Exactly. Yeah. You know, especially without, you know, any practice time. So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about Herndon and Crowder really being your only 2 legitimate options down the field, unless, you know, you're doing something creative with Le'Veon Bell. And, yeah, I think the Jets' only chance is really to try to make this just an ugly smash-mouth kind of game where it's ground and pound, plenty of Le'Veon Bell. But in order to do that, you do have to show that you can stretch the field a little bit. Otherwise, like we keep talking about, the Bills are just going to keep baiting the box and dare you to throw it.
Yeah, no, there's some tough matchups there. I mean, they have a very good defense, you know, good safeties, good corner, you know, great pass rusher, a lot of returning guys, physical, fast. They play pretty disciplined football. Obviously, there'll be some communication mistakes, stuff like that. But I think there's more pressure on the Jets offense to get in sync over the Bills defense. So, not ideal there. Then you look at the other side of the ball, and this is where I try to stay positive, but when you look at the matchups one-on-one, a lot of them don't look good for us, and it's because of the inexperience or the uncertainty of positions as opposed to what they're bringing to the table, on their side of the ball. And start with receivers. And they have actually 4 good receivers. The Gabe Davis I learned about last night, who's having a phenomenal camp. So you have 4 receivers. You can spread them out. You have an excellent running back. You have a good tight end. And you look at how do you match up? Like Stephon Diggs is going to get who? This year?
Probably, if he's healthy.
And then you're going to say, okay, so then Bless Austin would be on John Brown. Cole Beasley would be Brian Poole. And then you have Davis. They're all speedsters. You have the running back coming out of that backfield. You have a good tight end. Like these matchups, I don't feel overly confident. Like, do you feel confident having Diggs one-on-one with this year?
I don't feel – no, not at all.
John Brown flies, dude. Like, Bless Austin has ability. He could probably stay with him, but he's a very talented receiver.
Here's the Jets' saving grace is that I think you could trust Sam Darnold more than Josh Allen. The problem is the pieces around Josh Allen are so much better than what Sam Darnold's working with. So I think the Jets' approach on defense is going to be similar. Stop the run and hope that you could force Josh Allen into some mistakes. Blitz the hell out of him. Throw some creative wrinkles in there. Hopefully Greg Williams, he's had weeks to get this game plan together. I think that's your only chance.
Yeah, it's tough. And they were talking about it last night. They said Josh Allen's having a great camp. I'm like, well, we all are. Everybody's saying the same thing. Yeah. The Bills are the favorites for the division. We've said that. We give them credit. We think they're pretty much a year ahead of us, if maybe not more, in terms of roster development. But the matchups, the one-on-one matchups, so then they're like, well, what if you play zone? Okay, well, then the last thing you want to do is give Josh Allen easy throws. Like, you don't want to let him get comfortable. You want to get him in rhythm. You know what I mean? So if you let these guys run in space and hit him, that's not ideal. Because these guys have, Diggs can fly. Brown can fly. Beasley's still a good receiver. So how do you even, like the matchups, the one-on-one matchups, dude, don't give you a lot of confidence. Where it's like, okay, then how do we get pressure on him? Like you said, you put a spy on Josh Allen. You try to generate some kind of pressure. Not having Marcus May here is going to be a problem. Because this is the guy who say, hey, you know what? You could blitz him, or you maybe have McDougald in the box and keep May and Davis back. And you take him out of the equation, dude. It's like, now what? Like, how do you offset that then?
This has been my biggest concern. Aside from the wide receivers, obviously, I don't think the defense has enough without Mosley and especially trading Adams. You don't have the pieces there to compete with elite offenses. And I'm not saying the Bills are elite, but they're bringing back all these starters, and I think Josh Allen's a good enough quarterback with the pieces that are around him to get some things done. So it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the sideline to sideline speed of the linebackers too. Like, how do you
I like Cashman there.
Yeah, it could be. And Neville Hewitt wasn't too bad. Ashton Davis flies around. He's supposed to be very fast. That's something to look at. But then that's the other thing that we were talking about too. It's like, we have a lot of things that you're looking forward to, but we also got to keep in mind, if you're starting a rookie, this is his first NFL experience. Not like he didn't have 3 preseason games to get his feet wet and try to look at the, figure out, oh, this is cool. This is the speed of the game. Like I can get the communication from the line. I can, just get your signals from whoever. Dude, you're learning on the fly in an NFL game, like live. Like this is you blow an assignment here, it's a touchdown. That's just the way it is. Like, there's no wiggle room. There's no gray area. It's either make the play or blow it. And that's going to be a challenge for him, man, because he's going to be swimming too. Like the Bills are going to look at our secondary, be like, all right, there are some holes because there's inexperience in Davis. There's new guys, McDougald, Desir, all this, and they're going to try to attack it. And they get attacked because most of their offense is returning. And then you add in a playmaker like Diggs, who's he's a Pro Bowl caliber guy. Yep. They're probably licking their chops right now.
No, I completely agree, and that's why I think you have to take some chances as far as letting Josh Allen throw the ball. You mentioned giving him some easy throws. I'm fine with that because he does have some accuracy issues, and you hope that he gives you 1 or 2, and in a close game that could maybe be the difference if you're able to control the clock, ground and pound like we've talked about. I think that's the Jets' only chance here.
Yeah, and the other chance you have is you got to hope Quinnen Williams takes advantage of the right guard. Yep. Brian Winters is going to start. Brian Winters is still who he is. He's not. If he starts, good for us. But you need Quinnen Williams in this defensive line to get legitimate pressure up the middle. Mitch Morse is a decent center, but dude, they've got to find a way to disrupt things. If you can't sit there and rely on Jordan Jenkins and Frankie Louvu and these other guys to get through, you got to get pressure up the middle to disrupt it and just get Josh Allen unsettled.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams is the one guy that can change the outlook of this defense. If he becomes even half of what Aaron Donald's become. Yeah. That's enormous for this defense. Being able to have that interior pass rush, freeing things up a little bit for Jordan Jenkins on the outside, that would be enormous.
Yeah. So then we looked at all the matchups. Then it's like, all right, well, how do you know, like the question they asked me last night, and it was like, oh, how do you find the way for the Jets to win this game? I'm like, it's very easy. I'm like, the game is going to be ugly because I think there's going to be a lot of poor tackling. There's going to be opportunities, turnovers, special teams, which you never even talk about, are going to be a disaster because nobody's been practicing them. And there's two factors, I think. The one factor is the Jets have this us against the world mentality where every interview they're talking about it, where it's like everybody's discounting us, nobody likes us, nobody believes in us. That can rally your locker room. The opposite flip side of this is everybody's already touting the Buffalo Bills as the division's best team, a contending team. They're great. They're great. Ask their fans, ask whoever. They're the best thing since Tom Brady left. Yep. So there's a lot of pressure there, dude. And they could get overconfident or they could look past the Jets. They could, hey, you know what? We're here. They're there. We can go get it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only X factor there. And the Jets usually play in Buffalo pretty well.
Yeah, in the past, but I don't see the Bills, kind of falling into that trap. I think they're coached well enough that's not going to happen. At least I don't think so. I think this is going to be a race to 20 points, to be honest. Whichever team can get to 20 points first, that's probably going to be the winner of this game. It's going to be a smash-mouth, ugly kind of football game. I think the Jets could keep it close. I just don't see in the fourth quarter when you need that big play, who's coming up with it for the Jets. Yeah.
And then special teams did a big kick, has it come up, you know. Yep. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be a game of adjustments on twofolds. Twofolds is if your game plan is not working and injuries. I think that we're going to see a litany of injuries in this game. And I'm not wishing this, but I just think on the state of the football, the way the league is right now, the way training camp was, I think guys are just going to be either dead tired, where they're going to be gassed out and cramping up and just all kinds of stuff, or they're going to start getting tight back, tight hamstring, tight quad. All that stuff's going to happen too because you're not used to getting 50, 60 snaps at full speed. So how do you adjust to that? And then it's your roster depth. How much depth do you have at corner, at your offensive line, Jonathan Harrison, or receiver? Like all these different things, you're going to be challenged. It's a matter of what coaching staff adjusts the most and gets the most out of it and figures it out. Yeah. And you almost can foreshadow it. Like I'll keep saying it. Like Adam Gase should have an oh shit plan pretty much for every aspect of the game. Like, all right, listen, our running game isn't getting established. How do I change this? Our offensive line is revamped. It's not blocking well. How do I change that? Like, he took credit for having a shitty defense last year or a shitty offense last year, which is great. Learn from it and apply it this year and make it happen because you don't want to start off super slow and being down 17-0 and just like getting Sam killed. So it's adjustments, man. It's going to be adjustments and how do you handle adversity? Because there's probably be a lot of adversity probably the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked nonstop about the injuries, and every team's going to be facing it this year. I was trying to be positive last night, and it seemed like we were getting on the right track. Guys were coming back, and you wanted to give some praise because it seemed like, all right, maybe we handled these things the right way heading into week 1. There's no major injuries, but like you said, once the hitting actually starts, it's a completely different ball game. So, see what happens.
So there's some matchups to keep an eye on, and then you see it all plays out. I think they're the better team. They have more talent at this point than the Jets do. Can Sam Darnold overcome that and play very well, win the game? Absolutely. No doubt he can do that. Will he? I have no idea. But, like, I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be one of those ugly, like, AFC East games where it's, like, 17-14, 16-13, some shit like that, where it's, like, a lot of, like, red zone opportunities that you don't take advantage of, both sides. Like, I think it could be some of that kind of stuff, And then it comes down to probably some bad calls, some bad penalties, and a lack of discipline by somebody. It's a matter of what team does that, And I don't know. I mean,
for week 1, that's all you can hope for. I mean, with everything that
they better come out and play hard, dude. That's all you want.
That I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about. Week 1 effort, that shouldn't be an issue. If it is, then we got bigger problems. Yep. But yeah, I mean, effort shouldn't be an issue at all. I think you're going to see these guys fighting hard, and I think it should be a competitive game. I think it'll be a close game. I just don't know if we have the pieces to actually pull it out when it gets close at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, you look at what the new guys that are in the fold, Becton, McGovern, new receivers, new corners, could be 2 new safeties. There's a lot of moving parts for week 1. Yep. And this lack of a preseason I think just hurts them. I think, it's like you can only do so much. No matter what
on the one positive side, I think this is a good matchup for week 1.
I'd rather play them than somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. If we were talking about like the Chiefs or, even the Niners the week after. Yeah, exactly. Like Buffalo, I think that's a good matchup for week 1 where we can at least try to establish the run game. I don't think we have to worry about Josh Allen, throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think this should be a game where we're somewhat competitive.
Yeah, I have faith in Greg Williams too. It's just, hopefully this injury report cleans up by Sunday, man, because this is Jesus
Yep.
Christ, dude. Like it's almost like every day. Like you sit and like, you're busy at work, you're looking, like, oh, the injury report came out. You say, what? Like now May's got another injury? Like what's going on in practice? Like what can you like put him in bubble wrap, dude? Like just let him sit by himself till Sunday. Like nothing more.
I felt so good yesterday too.
It's you, dude. You jinxed us.
I know. It is. Every time I talk about somebody, it's just a matter of time before.
So are we doing a prediction tonight? Or we wait for tomorrow night and do it. Probably wait for tomorrow night.
We gotta wait for tomorrow. Yeah, we're going live tomorrow, right?
Well, the live stream tomorrow night too. Look out, people. We're gonna be on chaos.
God. I don't know what's gonna be more dangerous, that or the post game.
1 hour after the game, dude. Once Adam Gase's press conference is over, we're going live, dude. We're just gonna be just.
If they lose, I'm gonna be drunk off my chair. I'm not even gonna be able to stand up for this.
So for those that are asking about the live stream, we're getting some questions about it. The way this is gonna work is we're gonna be live on YouTube and Facebook, and you're gonna have a chat room on the side where you have to leave messages and leave comments, and we'll answer your comments live. So we get them, we'll add them to the screen, and you will answer your comments. So you have questions, comments, want to insult us and antagonize us, we can respond back to that as well. And that's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, me too, man.
We're changing the game. And another thing too is we want to thank everybody for listening and watching, because we kind of changed our format a little bit. And it's kind of been a surprise for some people, but I love it. And if you don't like it, we apologize. But this is kind of where we're headed. It was so funny because the guys from last night, they listened to our show on Tuesday, and they didn't know what to expect. And they're like, "Wow, man, you guys are like kind of no holds barred." That's the way we fly now. So
it's raw and real.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So, you good,
all
man?
Right. Yeah.
Tomorrow night we're going live.
Yep, can't wait.